So just the other day, we got confirmation that Obsidian, the creators of New Vegas, are making a new Fallout game. The studio behind the best Fallout is back. This video isn't about the industry news though, it just got me thinking, what would I want to see in what is essentially a New Vegas sequel? We know virtually nothing about this game yet, so I thought it'd be fun to just sit down and talk with you about my hopes for it, things I want to see, things I hope they avoid, returning features and mechanics, all that good stuff. Let's get into it. I want quests with more than just one or two endings. I want what we as the player do to matter, even in the smallest of side quests. From what I played of Fallout 4 recently, side quests basically had one path with a paint job over the top of it. It felt like your decisions really matter, but in the end, you end up in the exact same spot no matter what you do. But New Vegas, on the other hand, it felt so open-ended, and there were so many little factors that went into how each quest would end. Your skills would matter. If there was a certain skill check that you weren't a high enough level to pass, you would most likely have to go for a worse option. Like, for example, there'd be a way to save an NPC, but only if you had a certain skill leveled up to a certain level. And if you didn't have that, the NPC would die or something. Your reputation also mattered because there were so many factions in New Vegas, and each one had a reputation linked to them. Depending on who you were friendly or unfriendly with, it could impact how you were perceived by others and how certain quest lines would change. And of course, I want better dialogue choices. Fallout 4 was infamous for how lame the dialogue was. You'd have the good guy option and then the sarcastic option, and ultimately both would lead down the same road. But New Vegas had so many different dialogue options for every little encounter. Choices that felt small in the moment would end up being way larger than you'd expect. New Vegas was just so ahead in terms of role-playing. I think in the realm of 3D, Bethesda-like role-playing games, New Vegas is top 3 of all time. Of course, you have those isometric RPGs which do role-playing a whole lot better usually, but in terms of 3D, explorable, open-world role-playing games, New Vegas was so ahead of its time that studios are still trying to catch up to what they did all those years ago, I feel like. I want to be able to roleplay as an actual villain this time. I don't just want to be Mr. Sarcastic with the jokes. I want to do challenges like a genocide run and see how the game reacts if I kill every single NPC I find. Same goes with a pacifist run. But what I want is just to be able to replay this Fallout the way I can replay New Vegas. Go in with certain challenges and ideas in mind and see how they affect the game overall. The voiced protagonist, as cool as it is in a Bethesda game to hear your character and have a fully scripted protagonist, it just doesn't work as well as a silent one. You know, the thing about the Courier that was so special was that they were a blank slate, a blank canvas for the player to paint on and add their own little intricacies and stories. Staying on the character, I'd love a bit more customization at the start when it comes to your background, what you used to do, your career, your job. I really liked what Starfield tried to do with the character creation and the backgrounds. If only it were implemented better into the gameplay. I'd love to see an iteration of that for the next Fallout, but done in a way that actually impacts your choices throughout the game. Obsidian is obviously a lot better at this role-playing stuff than Bethesda ever has been, which is why I'm so hopeful about this. This next one's a little unrealistic, especially with how low everyone's attention span is these days, but inside of dialogue, I'd love to see more reading. Kind of like what Morrowind did back in the day. A modern Morrowind where every time you enter dialogue, there's reading to do and your choices are big and detailed and impactful. It's a hopeless dream, I'm aware, but I did still just want to put it out there. I really loved Morrowind, and I only wish there were more games like it. In my opinion, that was Bethesda at their absolute best in terms of game design and and freedom of gameplay. Moving on, factions and reputation. Pretty much every Fallout game does this, but I love that every faction is usually morally gray. This is the one thing I feel like New Vegas didn't nail perfectly, because the NCR is pretty much positioned as the good guys throughout. There are arguments for why they are flawed and bad, but they are definitely the lesser evil, so a lot of people just defaulted to siding with them. I'd love a comeback of morally gray factions, but this time make it actually gray, to the point where the player can't decide who the best option is because there is no real best option. I just want a game that can make me think and be thoughtful about my choices and understand my morals. That's the thing I love about role-playing games. It sounds crazy, but I understand myself better when I'm playing them. I like learning more about what I'd actually do in difficult scenarios. And obviously the faction reputation system should make a comeback. The ability to be idolized or vilified by each faction is just so cool and dynamic. Another thing I loved about New Vegas was how you could literally change the tides of the entire game. Like, I remember in the end game on one of my playthroughs, I just straight up slaughtered as many factions as I could find. I was like actually making entire groups of people go extinct. Having the freedom to do crazy shit like that in a sandbox like Fallout is just so cool. I remember I cleared out the Brotherhood, the Great Khans, the Kings, and just having the ability to do that is true freedom to me. True freedom isn't that you're allowed to enter every interior in the game. In my opinion, it's I can change the entire world with my actions. I also want to be able to get locked out of content depending on my choices. Modern Bethesda sucks at this because they let you experience every single faction and route in one playthrough, so your decisions are virtually non-existent. Think about Fallout 4 and Skyrim and how you can join every single faction and complete them to the very end. The factions in those games don't really interact with one another much, so you're free to just join whichever ones you want. You can just pick and choose. New Vegas worked because all these factions were connected. Some were at war with each other, others were allied. So depending on your actions and who you sided with, you'd get locked out of certain content. You'd be hated by some groups while adored by others. Bethesda's own games, on the other hand though, feel like baby mode. They let you experience everything in one go. They're just feeding everything to you on a silver spoon, and that's just kind of boring. Moving on to the companions. Recently we've seen so many great reactive companions in gaming. Think Baldur's Gate 3, think Dragon's Dogma 2. So in this day and age, Fallout has no excuse in my opinion. I want companions with actual opinions and morals who constantly comment on my choices. I praised Fallout 4 for having great companions that could comment on stuff you did out in the world, and I want that back. But this time I want them to feel like real people, not just brainless followers. I want individuals with their own beliefs. If I do something they dislike, they might leave, they might threaten me, or they might even attack me. And on those same lines, I want a companion I can change, that I can turn evil. Or if it's an evil companion, I can turn them good. I'm thinking someone like Shadowheart from Baldur's Gate 3, who you can turn away from her beliefs over the course of the game if you build a good relationship with her. I want more dialogue, more interactivity with my companions. I don't want them to feel like hired guns that follow me aimlessly into battle. I want to actually care about these people. Starfield was another one that sucked at companions. You had all these people who mattered in a major way to the main story, but then as soon as you take them along with you, they'd basically turn into blank slates that just fight for you. I want better companions than that. I don't want them to feel like just mercenaries. The setting is obviously a very interesting and much discussed subject. I didn't much like the Fallout 4 map because it felt so samey across the board. No matter where you went, it all kind of looked the same, which I get, the whole place has been nuked, so obviously it's going to look like a wasteland. But then you think back to New Vegas and how much it stood out in the Mojave. It was this glowing neon city full of casinos and rich people. That felt cool. It felt like a big landmark. So I want a setting that actually looks and feels unique. I've been seeing a lot of discussion about a Fallout set in New Orleans, the bayou, the swamps. New Orleans is such a cool looking city and I want to see it in more games. From what I can recall, the only two major games set there are Mafia 3 and Red Dead 2 with Saint Denis. Honestly though, a Fallout set anywhere would be cool. Imagine a Fallout in a snowy part of Canada. We saw how Fallout London looked, that was sick. And obviously the neckbeard option is
Fallout Japan.
Stay with me.
But I don't know, I'd love to see New Orleans. I think it makes a lot of sense for Fallout. I think they could do so much cool things with it. One thing I will give Fallout 4 is that I really enjoyed how much of the setting was taken up by this one huge city. It felt like a 50-50 balance between the city and the rest of the Commonwealth. Fallout 4 just felt like it had two different worlds, and I want the same for the next Fallout. With that said, I was personally more of a fan of the bigger, emptier map of New Vegas than the dense map of Fallout 4. I spoke about this in my recent Fallout 4 video, how the density of its map actually makes the world as a whole feel really small. I preferred New Vegas because there was this feeling of exploration, of wondering what was on the horizon. I loved putting on the radio and just mindlessly running through the Mojave, wondering what I'd stumble on next. As for settlements, I don't know if they'll come back. I doubt that Obsidian's Fallout will have settlement building, and I'd honestly prefer if it didn't. I did enjoy settlements, but I want another Fallout where my character is a blank slate with no attachment to any one location. I just want them to be a wanderer, an explorer. Basically, I just want the whole role-playing and freedom aspect of this next Fallout cranked up to 11. We saw what Obsidian did with Outer Worlds 2, and while I didn't enjoy a whole lot about that game, one thing I could consistently praise it for was the role-playing potential. Your decisions mattered, your perks mattered. I just love building characters that are my own, unique to me, my ideas, and my morals. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty optimistic about this game. No idea when it releases, no idea if it's even in development yet, or if they had just gotten the idea to start making a Fallout the other day. But the last thing I'll say is I don't need next-gen graphics. What I want is next-gen reactivity. I think most games need to focus less on meaningless stuff like ray tracing and how good the shadows and reflections look. As much as I love good visuals, developers have their priorities really wrong right now. They're pouring everything into things that ultimately don't matter. As long as you've got a really good game with really good gameplay, the visuals just don't matter that much. We've seen it time and time again, how people will enjoy ugly games. So I don't care if the next Fallout looks amazing or not, as long as it's a game I can keep playing for years to come. I want to be able to revisit it constantly and build new characters, and like I mentioned before, do challenges and see how the world reacts to shit I do within it. Let me know what you think though. Do you have any faith in Obsidian to make a good Fallout? What features would you want to see? Where would you want the game set? But yeah, that's all from me. If you haven't already, go check out this video where I play Fallout 4 properly for the first time. I had a lot to say about that one, some good, some bad. That's all from me though. I'm gonna clock out now. See ya.